What's up, everybody? Here we are, 100 subs. Thank you to all of you people who are subbed to the channel. I think a lot of you have joined during the sample showdown, and I wanted to do, when I hit 100, I wanted to do a thank you live stream. And with the show going on, it gets a little difficult to do an extra one. So I took this week off from the show so I could have a little extra time to get the samples out to the two final contestants, which are Marshall and Bobby. And that will happen next week, Wednesday at 7 o'clock, just like normal. And speaking of Marshall and Bobby, I do have a guest. We have Marshall coming in from the backstage. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man?
I'm going to hide this background. There we go. So how are you today?
I am in a lot of pain today. These workouts that I've been trying to get back into shape, trying to get back into that. I've realized with being off of work for this long, leaving that plumbing career behind and doing all this, I've lost a lot of that strength, dexterity and balance. And as I'm trying to get back up to that point, just using body weight exercises, I'm realizing that I'm a little more out of shape than I thought, and I'm a lot weaker than I thought. So I've been hurting the last few days, man. My legs are burning; they're on fire. But it's a good kind of burn. So
good. And what are you sipping on there, partner?
The newly released A. Overholt Rye.
I'm slightly jealous, actually.
Pennsylvania grown rye, distilled in Kentucky, aged 4 years. I actually have an age statement on the side of the bottle. Let's see, Monongahela rye mash bill, 80% rye, 20% soft malted barley. Gotta say, bottle presentation, bottle feel, kind of got this really, not rounded off, but like this kind of softened edged, interesting, bottle shape, dark brown bottle, which you don't see all too often. It's good presentation, $36 down here in Central Texas. It was pretty good. I'm enjoying it. Is the
bottle brown or is the liquid that dark?
No, bottle's brown.
Okay. All right.
No, the actual distillate is about that dark. So
it's a good color. Hey, Spencer. So we got Tony Cronin, local rye guy, in the chat. We got Spicy Strawberry, and now Spencer. Fire. Tyler, what's up, buddy?
Seaway's got a good comment there.
Yeah,
that's funny. Yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard.
I'm sipping on a SMWS Tomatin. I don't even know anything about it. It was a sample from Whiskey Deek, and I just know that it's Tomatin and cast strength, and I don't know anything about the barreling or any of that, but it's missing. It's pretty good. I get like a nice little root beer note off of it, and I like that. I don't get that very often in Scotch. Some peated Brooklotti will give me some root beer notes sometimes, but
oh man, I went to a Specs Liquor. So I live just outside of Austin. I was working in an area in a town called Temple, and Temple's about an hour and 30 minutes or so, give or take. Kind of where in Austin you're leaving from. And I went into one of the Specs over there. I was completely floored, completely blown away. They had most of your allocated stuff was sitting on the shelf. First time I'd seen Joseph Magnus cigar blend at retail price ever, since the inception of them guys. What else did I find? I found some signatories, and they had an Irishman 17 in that location.
Nice.
But yeah, I was like, wow, I didn't think I was ever going to see that.
Were the prices okay, or were they stupid?
Specs always has good pricing. Okay. Yeah, they're always completely solid. So every now and then you'll get something that comes in, and the store won't market it, but the distributor will sell it at a much higher price. So you can get caught by the distributors from time to time, but for the most part, you're usually pretty good to find really good deals. Plus, they had probably about, I don't know, 20 different Edward hours in there. So
Yeah, those are the pictures that you were sharing the other day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. Just it's amazing what you can find when you're not in your normal stomping grounds. When you're out of the when you go from a city of what 1.6 million people between the city and the suburbs, and you go to somewhere that maybe only has around 30,000 people.
Yeah,
that's a massive difference.
Big difference.
So yeah, I was shocked to say the very least. And if I was up and rolling the way I wanted to with a new job, yeah, I probably would have dropped $1,000 in there.
That'd have been a different trip. Yeah, for sure. I'm jealous of you guys with the the specs and that kind of stuff. I haven't seen that A overhold yet in Wisconsin. The 2 liquor stores that I asked about it, they're going to keep their ear to the ground and see if they can, dig up any info on it. But I don't know when we'll see it.
Gotcha.
So kind of waiting to see if we get a few more people in here, and I'll start doing some.
Man, I gotta say that Overholt really, if you've had anything from like the old Overholt brand in relation to this, I mean it's twice as dense, it's twice as rich. In my opinion, it's far more flavorful than the standard old Overholt.
Okay.
So
that's good because I wasn't a huge fan of the old Overholt.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was somewhat lacking, a little bit boring.
It was mediocre rye.
Yeah. Your typical Kentucky rye doesn't taste much like rye. It tastes more like bourbon. But yeah, that one sounds quite a bit more my style of.
This one's giving me a lot more of a single malt kind of vibe. This is giving me a lot of that chocolate malt sensation. This is giving me a lot more on that just darker, richer, more earthy. Definitely it's much darker, like especially compared to the color. Considering it's a fairly light color for what it is. For 4 years in bourbon, I really kind of thought it'd be a little bit darker. Or 4 years in New Oak, but I gotta say, man, the flavor really is it's superb rye. But I will be leaving that one here and then going over to the Ragtime Bottled and Bond, which is from New York Distilling Company. And cool.
I got a sample that I want to crack open tonight. So I don't want to get into too much crazy whiskeys before I crack this open, but I got the Bruichladdich Black Art. Let's see if I can get it without being, there we go. 8.1.
Oh, wow.
So I haven't had a Black Art yet, and I don't want to have a crapped up palate with a bunch of different whiskeys.
Wait, you've never had a Black Art?
Nope.
Dude, I've had like 3 or 4 Black Arts. What the hell?
It's not.
Who's the guy that doesn't do scotch have more scotch than you?
Not something that's around me too often. Not many people got it. And probably the chances that I did have to have it were down at like the Bastard's Ball, but I didn't see one there when we were there this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's not a whiskey that everybody's got.
Well, if they weren't so much money, you'd get a birthday present from me. Them guys ain't cheap, man.
No, they're not. They are not cheap, and that's the thing. It's like, are they worth the extra bucks versus some of the other Bruichladdich that are out there?
I don't know.
Reasonable price.
I've got to be honest. I really haven't been, at least in the entirety of me drinking whiskey, I haven't really found, but about maybe one Bruichladdich that I liked, that I personally thought, wow, that was very good, and I really liked that, and it was basically almost unattainable. So, of course, that's just kind of the way most of my Scotch and Irish whiskey has gone. They're really, really good ones you'll never be able to have.
Yeah, Spencer, same here. I've been staring at this sample for a while, and it's like I want to open it, but I don't want to open it just to open it. I want to be able to, I'm going to enjoy it. So, yeah, I know, Tony. Yeah, that was a crazy one. I think you got it for a pretty good price, though, if I remember correctly. So, anywho, so yeah, I mean, 100 subs, that was a pretty big deal for me. I was hoping to. That was my first goal, is to hit 100 subs, and so finally did it. And I think the Blind Sample Showdown did a lot of that. If I remember correctly, when I started the showdown, I was at like 65 subs.
You were somewhere around 60.
Yeah, and so now when I look today, right before this, it was at 119. So,
Nice.
Showdown did quite a bit.
Yeah, I think I'm only sitting at around like 230, 240. So you'll catch up to that really quick. Pass me up.
We'll see what happens.
But, I don't know. I haven't been doing the simulcast the last 2 matches just because I'm like, yeah, whatever. Yes.
Yeah.
Getting attacked by flies.
It's available for you if you want it. You know how to do it. I don't have to do anything on my end for you to do it. So it works out.
Yeah, I don't know. YouTube's cool and all, but I just feel like it's a lot of. I feel like it's just a lot of obligations to keep it rolling. Whereas with Instagram, I could just kind of pop in, do this and that. There's not really a base minimum expectation. There's not the viewer is a lot more kind of just in and out with Instagram, more than I feel like the YouTube guys are, where they want regular uploads, they want regular stuff to watch. And I'm like, that's just really hard to do.
I'll agree with that. I pretty much agree with that whole thing. Yeah. But speaking of the showdown, what do you as if you were in like, obviously, okay, so you're moved through the competition pretty good. You're in the final, so you've been in it now 3 times. You're about to be in it for a 4th time, and that'll be the final. As an outsider, though, what do you think about it? If you were an outsider.
Oh, so I think from an outsider's perspective, it's easy to sit from the outside and watch these guys as they're racking their brain and doing that, and then be able to see the results. Like that's the fun part, which I do recommend maybe clipping those down to a shorter time span. If you can do a final recap on maybe like the final 3, me and Duckworth, Caleb and Bobby, and then me and Bobby, clip those down into individuals, and then just kind of do the review. There's just kind of 5-minute long videos out of that hour and 20-minute long recording live. I think that would be very entertaining for people, just to kind of see the process go in and get to see it in a short format. And I think if you were able to do that, that video is highly entertaining to me. Now I'll say this: I've heard a lot of complaints about from people that were in the live and out of the live from a couple of things. Some people that were complaining that competed where it's one thing over it's a potent spirit or a particular sample was really, really potent, and that threw off the subsequent samples from there. Again, it's random. It's your ability to adapt, right?
Yeah.
I can see how people can very easily latch onto that, especially if they don't have enough confidence in their own ability to really get in there and trust your palate. And maybe they don't have the most expansive whiskey tasting experience, and they haven't been a part of a group the way me and you have been, where we've, God knows how many things we've traded and sampled out and done. Oh, so
yeah,
I'll say from the outside, I think the amount of fun you have with it is based off of who you came in to watch, how well they did, what their feedback was. Ultimately, I love the competition, and even if I knocked out week 1, I'd watch every single minute of it because I think it's amusing as hell. But like, I think there's enough intrigue in it. There's enough people that we have seen repetitively from start to finish every single week since probably about week 2 or 3 that have been there to the point where like that they're counting on that. They're looking forward to that, and that's their time that they get to interact, and it kicks off so much more conversations. When the groups disperse, that's the conversation for the next hour afterward. So it's drummed up a lot of buzz. I think it's got a lot of attention. I think it has the ability to really be able to go much further on than what it is. I find being as a competitor, I find it to be thrilling. I find it to be incredibly fun, just because you have given me some of the. It's like you're really giving it to me so much as it is.
Okay, so Marshall's got a phone call. Give me a hand signal when you're ready. But okay, so there's some things that I'd like to change with it. Are you ready?
Yeah, that was bizarre. I was getting a call on my Zoom work number, but it was an area code where we don't have business and none of my customers have that area code. So I'm like, should I answer this? No, I'm gonna let it. I'm just gonna get I've got a deal on there where it'll just give me a text response for any voice messages they may need. I'm just gonna let it do that because it just didn't seem worth, answering that call and taking it when I wasn't sure what it is.
Yeah, I don't answer calls I don't know.
Yeah, especially when it's through Zoom. That's even more weird.
Yeah, that's very weird. So there's some things that I'd like to change as far as not necessarily how stuff is put together. Like I love the randomness factor of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's awesome, and that's part of the whole thing. I mean that aspect of it is part of the whole thing. I would like to change some of the like the sheets that I send out ahead of time. I want to change those up a little bit so they're a little bit easier and kind of give people not necessarily guidance, but more of a, I can look at this and be like, oh yeah, I forgot about this type of category, or I forgot about this type of whatever. And they can see that in writing on there, and maybe that'll lead them into a answer that they're thinking, but they couldn't think of what it was called, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the issue with the news, right? So, and I'll name drop in the competition because I don't care. You had Adrian, who was very unsure of kind of category and kind of where everything lied. You have Nia that was almost scared to give a guess because she just really wasn't super confident. I saw U.S. Smallcraft who kind of hesitated on a couple of things there really hard. And I know there was somebody else somewhere along in the competition there that just really wasn't certain of like kind of exactly what was going on or exactly how something needed to be put in there. So yeah, I think a general simplification of that would be great.
That's kind of what I mean that aspect of it is what I was looking to change a little bit more. I'd like to tighten it up a little bit. And I think that will help tighten it up a little bit as far as, especially in the, in some of the casting guesses,
Yeah, I think
generic, used or new. I mean, that's it. That's what you get, or both, right?
Yeah, I think removing just a smidge of the redundancy might help out a little bit. Maybe divvy up, if it's like you had that what was that rye that you pulled? Or no, it wasn't a rye, it was a single malt that you pulled out that had like 6 casks in it. What was a new riff? It was a new riff rye, right?
Yeah, the new riff, and the Brook Laddie Classic Laddie was that way too.
Okay, so I would say maybe if it's 2 points for casking and they get at least a portion of those casks, 1 point versus 2 points for casking. Whereas if it's just rye and it's new oak, it's just new oak all the way through, it's 2 points. Just kind of reduce some of the redundancy and kind of give some leniency as long as they have used or some sort of wine cask, something like that. Definitely could be a bit more simplified. But ultimately, I mean, I think a double dip into proof where you do and maybe on the sheet, maybe do ABV on the top and then proof on the bottom. And then kind of, do it like that, right? And it kind of seemed like that's what it evolved into just naturally. Maybe specify that on the sheet. Yeah. Maybe that would help out just kind of like, hey, I can go a bit more generic at the top and maybe I can dial in a bit more specific on the bottom.
Right. And, and I don't care which way anybody answers. If it's ABV or proof, you can answer either way.
Mhm.
That was the gist of it. Obviously, if you use ABV, you're going to have a little bit higher of a window.
Yep.
The number still the number is still the same. So within 2 ABV of each other, of the number. But that actually, am I thinking about that backwards? If you use proof, that would be a bigger spread. Because 4 ABV of a spread would be 8 proof. So,
yeah. But I don't know, and maybe it's weighed out because of that leniency, right? Because of leniency in points. Maybe your generic EBV is weighted a little bit less in points than specific, or something of the sort, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Tony. I appreciate it.
Tony, give him props.
I got lucky that first week. I got real lucky that first week.
That was a tough battle between both of you guys, because you guys were pretty well matched all the way through it. And I think you happened to hit
8 to 7.
One proof, and you hit it, and that was enough to do it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, again, like, and this is the part, when I talk about it on like Instagram and stuff like that after the competitions are over, I say, look, statistically speaking, there are 2 competitors I went up against where, if you look at just the stats, if you look at just what they do for a living, for work, for their hobby, should not have won, right? I should not have won. Bill, with 60,000+ subscribers, fantastic guy. He came in on a leap of faith, and I will say, beating him, that was amusing. That was amusing.
That was a
beating Brian, guy who works at a distillery and is in the industry all the time, beating him, very gratifying, right? On my match with Duckworth, I got to be honest, I didn't really put too much stock into that one. And beating Bobby, if I could beat Bobby, I'd be thrilled. At this point in time, I don't even care if there's a reward. I just want to beat Bobby.
Yeah. I at the beginning, I had thought about making a little stupid trophy, a cheeky little trophy. And I'm like, that's all fine and good and all that. That's fun. But really what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put together a box of decent samples, and I won't make them blind. I might mismark the label, but that would be fun.
Oh, dude, I gotta say, man, like, when you first reached out to me months ago, and you were like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" I was like, "Great idea. You got me on board. We're all good." And I remember having the conversation of, I think it was like just a random Discord message or something of the sort. Maybe we were on live. I don't remember. About you saying, you may have the leg up in the competition just because I've seen your collection, and I've been on live with you, and you've shared a lot of bottles and stuff, and I've seen the stuff that you've been adding to your collection over the years, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, there's a very good chance that some of the bottles that you put up, I've seen you buy, and I have seen you buy quite a few of those, but there's 370+ whiskeys, and I don't know your collection. I haven't been there to like examine your shelf, so it's a really hard thing. But I will say, I think a lot of people, and as weird as it, I think a lot of people have really shown they've shown a little bit of their passion and a little bit of their ability to actually partake in the hobby. People who like me and yourself, that we dive in for the flavor, we dive in for the nerdness of it. We do well. Guys who just kind of casually drink, or people that just dabble in this occasionally or whatever, they drop fairly fast, right? So it's definitely a lot of the results of how the competition has gone from the time I heard the original lineup, kind of understandable. Oh yeah, Bobby's going to be a fantastic last match. And Zach put it a pretty good way the other day when I was over there with him on Instagram. He's like, look, every bit of your guys' match, every bit of it is specifically going to be based off of what samples Germ sends. And I said, that's totally that. Yeah, I mean, I've got a much wider array of whiskeys that I've tried than Bobby. You know, he's been very hard up into bourbon for a long time. That's kind of been his wheelhouse. That's where he likes to be. So I think that'll be really fun. Oh no, if it's anywhere between 117 and 120, we all know exactly what that is.
I feel like, yeah, you could meta guess 118.3 if you think it's a single malt.
I mean, that's a good possibility.
Yeah.
Dude.
No, so
that cigar malt's coming out soon.
I know it is.
Dude.
July. It should be July.
Yeah.
So these 3 samples, they're not random. I hand selected these.
Oh, I know. That's what's scary. I'd rather than be random, because I know you got some twisted stuff over there, and I know that you have a twisted, sick sense of humor, and you will not make this easy. But I'm pretty confident you're not going to give me that Crowded Barrel Errant whiskey anymore, because I had that last round, so I'm safe on that one.
All right, I'm gonna tap into this little black art just a little bit here. Tony, I like the idea. We'll see. We'll just have to see what happens here.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So I've noticed Spicy's no longer a chat rat anymore.
No.
Spicy's alive now.
She jumped the chat rat ship. But she's gonna send you if you win, she's gonna send you a handle of Calico Jack.
Yeah, Spicy needs to hush.
Well, okay, so we got 2 people watching. It's Spicy and Tony. I'm not gonna do the giveaway things unless there's enough people in here to even make it.
Yeah, that's fine.
But you guys, if you want something, send me a message, or you can talk to me tomorrow and you can have a sample set. So I had 7 sample sets set up. Live is scary. So I had, let's see, what did I have here? I like being able to use my phone now, finally.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've got several Discord messages, and I know that I just got a message I got to reply to when we're done here on Instagram, a Zoom call, and then I've got 2 other notifications. I think one of them's a game, and there's something else. And I can't check any of them because it'll shut me down right out of here.
Wow.
So
I put, let's see, 1, 2, I got 5 sample sets. All of them 6 except for one of them. An ASM flight. So it was the Bullet single malt, the 45th Parallel single malt, the Brickellen 77 single malt, a McCarthy's finished in Pedro Menez, a Westward from Lost Lantern that was finished in a Chardonnay, and then the Lost Woods 88. Then I had a proper Friday set, the Driftless Dick Pick, the Kings County Empire, the Catoctin Creek, that Two Souls Hazmat Yahara Bay rye.
Oh, good rye.
Yeah. And SMWS RW3, which is
RW3?
New York Distilling.
Oh, okay. Oh, no kidding.
And then Lost Lantern Corbin Cash, the first one.
Okay.
And then a single malt set, which was the Irishman 17, Loch Lomond 18, Aaron Master of Distilling, Westland Calary 3, Quintessential First Fill Sherry, and an Inchmarin. I think it's a 19-year-old Inchmarin.
Oh, wow.
And then the Lost Lantern set, which is my favorite one, which is that Brickellen Malted Wheat.
Mm-hmm.
The Gentle Giant, the Tom's Foolery Rye, the brand new Rich Grain, except this is the Insider Cask. So there's a group within Lost Lantern that we had a Zoom, and we had 3 samples that they sent with that Zoom meeting, and that was one of them. And it's a single cast that only got put out to the insiders for now. I think if it doesn't sell out, they'll put it out to the the website as normal. Soaring Spice, and then the Wollersheim from Lost Lantern. And then the last one is my video that I just did, the 7 most interesting, each one of those.
Oh, yeah. And there was a whole bunch of content creators that did those back to back, actually. I saw that come through in my subscription feed for probably a good about maybe 3 weeks or so there, where,
Yeah.
and honestly, I completely missed that that Randall did his. I never even saw his pop up. So, sorry. So, yeah. All right, what do we got? I'm finally getting notifications for chats.
Thanks, Tony. I thought so. I spent a little bit of time thinking about which ones would go good.
Mm-hmm.
The Friday one is probably my favorite sample set out of there. I mean, I can't say that I don't 100% fully enjoy every one of those whiskeys every time I have them.
Well, that's great. Oh.
Yeah, Tyler, that was a lot of fun. I like how you switched up your wheated for peated. That was neat. I'm actually kind of surprised that wasn't a portion of the 7, but it obviously it could have been Scotch. You could have picked a peated one. But yeah, that was cool, and you switched that up from wheated to peated because you don't have any wheat whiskey or wheated whiskey. Yeah, I hear you.
Oh man. Ooh. I'll tell you what, I am surely loving to see that rain. I'm surely loving that. I mean, we're going on probably what? It's 8 o'clock, so we're going on 9 hours of straight steady rain. Just
Nice.
Slow falling, steady rain. Yeah, that's fantastic. I feel sorry for my brothers down there in Houston. They're not doing so hot. They're flooding again down there.
Oh,
yeah.
This is really good.
Oh, the Black Art?
Yeah.
I think, what did I have? I don't know if I had 8.1, but I've had what did I have? I really wish I could remember which one I had, dude. I swear, I am so bad with remembering all these different samples I've had over the years.
Yeah, and then if you don't have the sample bottle, like you just tried it at a place you were at, that's a whole nother aspect of it that you have a hard time remembering, unless you take a picture of it, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, even then, you know how many hundreds of pictures we'd have in our phones.
Right. Yeah, and I get into those situations and I just forget.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spicy, I'm going to give you 2 answers here. One is my smart ass answer. The distillery, Tom's Foolery, made that so good. But realistically, I think their distillation method makes a fantastic new make. And I think they have the patience and the wherewithal to just sit on it. Let it do its thing and become ready, as opposed to, okay, it's 4 years old, we can call it straight, put it up. Mm-hmm. Or whatever the case, whatever certain places do. Also, it's a single cast, so it could have been a real oddball cast that had some really unique stuff in it. But it was thick, it was rich, it was all the flavors of rye whiskey that you like, with the added apples and some like raisin notes. It was just really, really well executed whiskey. I don't foresee them ever putting out anything that's not good. I would like to try something from their original line to see what their blending is like. Because I've only had Tom's Foolery as single cast stuff. I haven't had something that they've blended multiple barrels together. But I can't imagine they would be bad. So. Yeah, Tony, I think it's better than the bourbon. Hey, Whiskey Shaman, what's up, buddy?
Oh, man, Randall coming in.
Can't stay, just popping in. Well, I appreciate you popping in, buddy. And Tony, yes, I think the rye is better than the bourbon. So just that's an opinion of mine. I mean, you're splitting hairs when you're talking about that, but oh yeah, Tyler, we all are. Yeah, absolutely. Harshest critic. Like, I didn't really have an agenda for this. I didn't spend a lot of time prepping for it. I should have probably done a little bit more than that, but I'm like, you know what? Whatever.
It's just a casual live, not having to walk people through samples and
yeah. So, and that's the other thing about the show. Like, I don't want to have this whole conversation while you guys are trying to do your samples because it's distracting, which in the grand scheme of things probably is sometimes better. Like I don't mind being distracted while I'm trying to come up with notes and stuff like that, because then you're thinking about something else going on, and then all of a sudden things are just hitting you. But
yeah, I mean, but that also goes to show you, because of the people that have been in there, you'll notice when somebody is confident, when somebody is comfortable. When somebody's been on camera for a while and how comfortable they are being on camera, because you'll have people in there that they're real quiet, they're reserved, they're out of their comfort zone. Maybe they're not 100% confident in their ability to do what the competition is asking or whatever. And then you got other guys that they're just there. They've been on live. They've been in hundreds of conversations and stuff, and it's just nothing to them at all.
Yeah.
So
and I will say this, as far as the content of the show, my favorite show so far was the National Craft Distillers Day one, when it was Dylan at Small Craft and Caleb Whiskey Geek, Texas Whiskey Geek. That was my favorite show as far as what it was like on the other end. The one next in queue was the very first one, you and Bill. I thought that was a really good show. That was fun to watch. And
Bill was very receptive. He wasn't off-standing. He wasn't like
he's natural.
Or, he was acting like himself.
Yeah, which is,
and of course, I've met Bill a handful of times. I've chatted with him for years. It's not like we don't speak on a regular basis, but we know each other and we're comfortable, bouncing off of each other. And honestly, I think that helped us both in that first week.
Yeah. I'll let Marshall answer this one first.
No, neither of you really huge into bourbon. My favorite bourbon, Cedar Ridge Barrel Proof or Cedar Ridge Bottled and Bond. Probably one of my favorites. Past that, it's going to be probably Evan Williams Single Barrel. No, sorry, Evan Williams Bottled and Bond, white label. That one's phenomenal. Do I have another bourbon that I would drink?
I mean, you love Eagle Rare, don't you?
No, I hate Eagle Rare so much. So much. Man, I'm really trying to think, dude.
It's hard to come up with on the spot. I have a pretty good idea what mine are, but
I mean, to be honest, like if it's not something from basically Cedar Ridge, it's going to be something that an independent bottler has put out. It's not going to be a core line of anybody's shitty half-aged crap bourbon that I just can't drink. It's just, I'm sorry. Like as a category, I think it has its place. It's great for beginners. It's fantastic for people who love just the simple drink, the simple cocktail. But it's so freaking boring. And most bourbons are just really boring, and that's the reason why I just have a hard time with it. Like I can't even give you a top 5 right now. And if I was going to give you a top 5, I'd just cop out and tell you the cheap shit from Kentucky.
So, exactly to your point, bourbon to me can be fairly boring, or is fairly boring. So when I drink a bourbon and I'm excited, something happens. It's totally outside the box of what I expect from bourbon. that's when I start paying attention to it. So the Tom's Foolery Bourbon did that. The Detling Single Barrel did that.
The Tom's Foolery Bourbon that I tried from you, that was decent whiskey.
Yeah,
that was decent whiskey. I wouldn't buy it.
Well,
but it's good stuff.
The Kings County bourbons I've had, really good, but the peated would be one that is really coloring outside the lines for me.
Have you not had it yet?
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay, because there's like 20 of them here in Austin.
As far as like regular non-craft little guys like that, because that's pretty much what most of mine are going to be. I do enjoy Larceny Barrel Proof. I enjoy that a lot. And I do enjoy most of the Elijah Craig Barrel Proofs. Driftless is good. I put Tattersall's bourbon way ahead of Driftless's bourbon, but Driftless's rye is where they shine. That's
top notch.
Yeah, their rye is their spirit. Like they could make a tenth of the bourbon that they make and just concentrate on rye, and it would be awesome. But
I think they would be doing better off too.
Well, maybe, but
that rye is just it's outstanding. Truthfully,
it's one of the best out there. Really, it is. And then now that they're starting to hit that 7+, 8+ year mark, they're really getting.
Oh, I can't imagine what that 8 or 8.5 year that you brought down to Valpo. I bet that one's got to be on par, if not better than that 7.5 year I have.
It is. It's about the best. It's the best driftless rye I've had to date.
I will say, as that bottle is opened up, as it stays open, I'm getting more and more and more oak tannin out of it, and I'm losing that. I feel like I'm losing the sharp, spiky rye. I feel like I'm losing that really vibrant rye, and it's just kind of mellowing out to this really just dark, high-age, oaky, more subtle rye over time. So if it continues on that trend, I'm going to be slamming that back one afternoon. So, but
I liked both of those. Definitely at the beginning, they had this leather chair tobacco, kind of thing going on, and it was really inviting. And it's that aspect of it is tamed off a bit here, and that's my attributes tonight. Aspect. I've said it like 5 times.
Yeah, I hate the word attributes.
It happens. But it's tamed off a little bit, and it's come to a more of like a melded flavor of those two things with the rest of the rye, and it's just wonderful.
Well, that's cool.
I'm almost empty on that 7+ year.
Yeah, I'm down. I don't have that much more than you do, man.
Yeah, I got another bottle downstairs though.
Yeah, of course you do.
Well, I knew that one was going to be good, and it was the last barrel pick that Central Wisconsin Bourbon Society did, because they got in trouble for it.
Well, I got to be honest, man. When it comes to American whiskeys, like when I'm not deciding to buy a rum, when I'm buying an American whiskey, it's got to be a good rye. It's got to be a really good rye. New York Distilling, this A. Overholt was a phenomenal buy. Any kind of Empire Rye, Wiggle, fantastic set of ryes over there. San Diego Distilling Company has a really cool rice and rye whiskeys that they've put out. Pretty much passing on the vast majority of bourbons, but I mean, I'm now at a point where it doesn't matter what single malt that outside of maybe the straight peat that you had gotten recently from Cedar Ridge, but it's the quintessentials are now kind of one of the only bottles I buy when it comes to buying something to have it shipped in. Their stuff is phenomenal. Driftless Glen Rye is phenomenal stuff, but that's about it, man. I'm not really buying anything wheated. I'm not a big wheated whiskey fan at all. It's just really rye, select American single malts, and then just a crap ton of rum. So.
All right, there's the next one. And no, Spicy, you're not being annoying. Ask the questions. That's what we're here for. Marshall, I'm going to let you take this one again, and I will be right back.
Oh, favorite Scotch, hands down, bar none, no questions asked, is Edwardauer. My God, that stuff is so damn good. The craziest thing with Edwardauer is it's base product. Like the base Edwardauer that's not like overdone in sherry or overdone in sauternes. It's just a robust, relatively it's a little bit earthy. It's a little bit kind of like it's got this kind of dark forestry tannic kind of sensation to it. But at the same time, it still holds this weird like back palate to nostril, sweet, almost kind of like this chocolate, like a rich chocolate cake would be after you finish it. Just kind of gives you this really kind of cycling, a salivation in your mouth that just really rings true. And then they decide to throw it inside of sherry casks and Bordeaux casks and Sauternes casks and Marsala casks, you name it. They love to just throw distillate inside of funky barrels that I know are not empty. Like you look at some of the darkness on some of those Edwardauers, and you're like, that barrel might just have been half sherry when they decided to put whiskey in it.
Or motor oil, one of the two. Some of those
Or
things.
motor oil. But no, Edwardauer is by far my favorite of all time.
Ooh, that's a really, really tough question, Spicy. I will have to say the Loch Lomond Distillery. And not necessarily the Loch Lomond label, but Inchmarin for sure. Crofton Gia, yes. Loch Lomond is good. I haven't had the 12 yet, but I really like the 18, and the 12 being like a $35 bottle. If it's even half as good as the 18, I'm going to be real happy with that. Brooklotti, I love Brooklotti. Both they're unpeated and peated. Kleinleash is good. Craigellachie is good. I was a Glenlivet fan for a long time. Like that's where I started with Scotch, and I really like that. I kind of fell off because I just found things that were better. And then I found that illicit still 12-year-old with the proof is bumped up and it's not chill filtered. And so good. That's so good. And I now have a single cask of them from SMWS, and I'm waiting to crack into that one.
Hey, if you haven't gotten into that, what was it, that 30-something odd year that you bought recently? I guess within the last like 6 months?
No, I have not. It is a 32-year-old Glen Scotia in second fill bourbon only.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's going to be flavorful.
That's going to be good. So the plan is to crack that open in August when Jason comes up to visit his cabin.
Oh, yeah. So that'll be great.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because that's somebody who can really take a deep dive into that bottle with you.
Yeah.
So.
And I have a few other Glen Scotias as well, so we'll kind of do a few Glen Scotias and then have that one in there. Because I kind of want to see how it compares at 32 years versus 12-year or 8-year or 15-year. Obviously, that was a special bottle. It wasn't, I'm not expecting it to be the absolute best thing I've ever had, because my opinion is 32 years in a barrel, it's going to be oaky, but then again,
well,
fill. So
here's the thing. Yeah, that barrel's already spent.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And who knows how long it was filled the first time. Maybe the first time it was a 25-year-old Scotch came out of that and they filled it again and left it for 32 years. Who knows? So I mean the
statistical average, wouldn't the statistical average be an 8 to 12-year age statement on a first fill? Right? I mean, generally speaking, that's kind of that's a safe assumption you could make.
Yeah, probably.
So you say the max 12 to 15 years on the first? either way, that's still insane.
Spicy. The second fill. So when you talk about first fill, second fill, blah blah blah. So virgin oak is what bourbon uses, and then the first time something else goes into it is first fill, and then whatever that was comes out, and then gets filled. It gets filled again. That's a second fill barrel. So what has happened is the oak is used up. It's not adding a lot to the distillate anymore. So at the end of whatever maturation time you got in a second fill barrel, you are getting as much of the distillate as possible. So, I mean, obviously you could use a third fill barrel and get more, but once you hit that second fill level, you're really not getting much barrel. So it's all distillate. That's what you're tasting.
And it's interesting too, though, if you're doing second fill in places like Southern California, New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, basically just cut that whole every southern state of the U.S. A second fill barrel still gives you enough impact over a 2 to 4 to 5 year time span to the point where you're still going to get a good amount of flavor, but you're not going to get that scrubbing of the original distillate. And that's the reason why you'll see a lot of guys like Maine Rum Company, which is they have more rum in one place in London and Scotland than anywhere else in the world. I mean, no single distillery has more rum than them, and they specifically want the second, third, fourth, fifth used barrels because all they're trying to do is to get new made from distilleries and totes, and then just let that barrel help them curate a flavor portfolio, not to have the barrel completely change it. And it's just a very interesting way. It's in a way, and like I said, that's another thing. So if you're a bourbon drinker, right? Bourbon is your thing. You like those barrel tannins, those barrel sugars. You're going to want that new make. But if you're somebody who has kind of moved past that, or that's not your thing, and you're more of a single malt fan, or you're more of a tequila or a mezcal fan, and you're trying something like a Scotch or a rum, you want that low impact. So
I like the second, third fill barrels because you get a good look at the distillery, like what they're actually making in that distillate, and then that distillate matured, not necessarily still raw new make, but how that distillate performs over set amount of years.
Yeah,
and not getting bludgeoned with oak tannin or sherry, or that's the other thing. So when they take it out of even if they had it in the second fill bourbon barrel and they shove it into a sherry seasoned cask or a fresh dump sherry barrel, they're taking all of that work that the second fill barrel didn't do, and they're killing it with that sherry. So sometimes sherry is not. That's why sherry is not my favorite thing, because it is meant to hide stuff. And yes, it's a nice accent, and certain distilleries do it really, really well. And certain people really like sherry. So it does work out, but personal preference, I would prefer either a full maturation in sherry or maybe like a virgin oak and then finished in a sherry.
Yeah, I'm more of a fan of full maturation in finishing cask.
Yeah, I will buy full maturation sherries all day long. I really enjoy them. That's actually a really good question. No, I don't think so.
Actually, no. There is an answer to Spicy's question. Is there a way to calm down a new barrel without filling it with something? So there's two methods. There's one, you use a process called slow water reduction, and you're basically continuously adding water over the aging process to keep your proof down to a certain point. The other way is to not age it in a hot climate. Put it in a basement. Put it in a northern climate. Aging in Canada. I'm assuming. Aging over there in Wisconsin apparently gives you some really good color based off of driftless.
Well,
but
yeah,
aging in a more moderate climate.
We still have that crazy heat. However, it shuts down for a couple months in the winter. I mean, once it dips, I don't remember what the temperature is. Once it dips below like 20 degrees or something like that, the barrel pretty much stops doing stuff. obviously it's still, the liquid still matures
Mhm.
because it's sitting there, it's resting, it's maturing. But the
Yeah.
barrel's not doing much. The stuff's not going into the wood. It's not coming back out. But then we get that hot summer again where, like today, 85 degrees and humid as shit,
Yeah,
I
it was
mean,
81 today and raining, so I get it. That's
so,
if that's
yeah,
y'all summer's gorgeous.
cold climate is, I suppose cold climate will do it, but
Mhm.
I didn't take the question that way. I took the question
Mhm.
as, is there a way to make sure that it doesn't do too much? But it's similar answers, I guess.
So the other way is not using char levels 3, 4, or 5.
Yeah, low char level maybe,
Char level 1 or 2.
or perhaps just toasting it and not charring it. But then you have to be careful.
Weird.
You're getting outside of the rules for certain categories.
I think toasting does a little bit better when it comes to finishing. I think toasting a barrel or having a toasted barrel that you can kind of use as an accent. I feel like it rounds off, it softens out, but doesn't necessarily age. So I don't know. I've never had a whiskey just strictly in a toasted barrel all the way around. Toast gets used as a finish more often, especially in Kentucky. But I don't know. I mean, that definitely could be. You could technically speaking, you could wash out your barrel. It would be weird as hell. But
I've had one American single malt that was aged solely in a toasted barrel, not charred. That one was really good, and then they changed something about it when they changed labels, and it's not nearly as good anymore. That was the Rogue Spirits Dead Guy single malt.
Oh yeah.
And a few years back, they put out an Oregon single malt, 5-year-old in toasted barrels, not charred. They were new. Okay. And man, that whiskey was awesome. It had hardly any color. It was just a real pale light golden color, but it was really, really tasty.
That's cool.
And then they came out with the new version of it when they changed bottle design and label and all that. They must have changed some stuff up, but it's not nearly as good as it was. So the other one that I had in toasted only, I can't remember if it was a wheat or a wheated. And I don't remember who made it. And it wasn't a bottle, it was a sample. So this is why I like to take notes with samples.
Yep.
Ah, there you go. So yes and no. I'm sure there is people that do that somewhere. I don't know specifically.
I mean, the thing is, if you age a vodka or a gin or whatever, even if it is a flavorless spirit, even if it's some weird moonshine you're not paying taxes on and goes down the drain, once you put the whiskey in there, it can no longer be called bourbon because it's a used barrel.
Right.
So that takes it off the possibilities. I mean, I'd like to see what a moderate gin inside of a barrel, like a 30-gallon barrel, would be like if you put a good, solid, well-crafted new make bourbon or rye inside of a barrel that once had an aged gin. But there's just not a lot of people that are doing a lot of aged gins in the States right now. So
it's funny you say that. Copperwork just announced the release of a 4-year-old aged gin.
Really?
2 years plus in a ex brandy barrel from somewhere in Spain.
Huh.
And then they took it out of that barrel and put it for another 2 years in one of their spent American single malt casks. And it's dark.
Really?
Like the picture of it, it was dark. I'm interested in it, but I like aged gin. I really do. I like.
I like aged gin a whole lot more than I like new make gin. I'll say that for sure.
Yeah, to drink neat, yeah, for sure. But aged gin is so weird because it's such a delicate spirit with one heavy flavor that the barrel can very easily take that away. And then all of a sudden you have one strong flavor with barrel.
So I'll say this. I've had the aged gin, of course, from Crown Barrel from Treaty Oaks, which kind of really brought that into popularity almost 10 years ago.
Yep.
Right. And then I've had 2 more that I've had in just trying them inside of liquor stores like Total Wine and then some small mom and pop shops. Right. And I'll say this. I like the fact that every single one of them toned down the juniper. It wasn't super heavy on juniper. It gave me the vanilla, the orange, the caramel with the heavy citrus notes that I kind of expect on the back end, or kind of that I expect kind of playing alongside that juniper, right?
Right.
I thought that was a phenomenal experience. Every single aged gin I've had has been better than the original, hands down, bar none. I mean, to me, it's not even close. So yeah, I mean, I can't wait till we start seeing, good gins and really good over-the-counter gins go barrel aged. That's going to be fun.
Where is that question? There it is. The best barrel aged gin I've had to date so far, and I think Spencer might agree with this if he had it, but the Restless Spirits Builder's Gin, that thing is so creamy and good. No, it's a small craft place in Kansas City. I just happened to stop there on the way down. But Spencer has been there a couple times, I think, and that Builder's Gin aged is just really nice, really, really nice.
Speaking of Spencer, I'm curious to know. We did a live stream months ago. I believe it was on Instagram. And there was a guy that was in, I believe, like Omaha, Nebraska or something like that, wasn't he? He was doing
what the hell was the name of that place? But Spencer was talking to him.
Yeah.
They were talking to each other.
Yeah.
In that stream. So Spencer.
Have you had any
more what we're talking about? Let us know how that went.
Yeah.
Okay, so they used some cider casks, possibly, and some whiskey casks. Okay. But either way, whatever they did with it, they did it right, and it's superb aged gin. It's really good. The regular gin that they put in the barrel to make that one is really good as well. But to your point, drinking regular new make gin is a little rough, neat, but it's fantastic in cocktails.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then on top of gin using botanicals, you now also have the emergence of, and America's finally starting to see this, botanical rums are now coming out and becoming more prevalent. And it's in the UK, rum has been blowing up for a little while now, but it's kind of starting to finally hit the American markets. And from the two samples I've had of botanical rums, they're not limited to using that juniper, so they can go a lot more in like the ginseng and ginger route, using those roots for their main flavor components, and then adding all of that complex funk and stuff from the rum. So I think botanical rum is going to be a really interesting thing to look at, and over the next probably 10 years here, that'll be a very, very weird category to get to explore. What did he say?
He was just thinking about that, dude.
Trying to track his stuff down yet? Yeah, I can't remember what his thing was. I need to ask. Maybe we ask Martin or something like that to see if he remembers, because he comes up with weird shit, pops it out of his head from time to time. So
Martin comes up with weird shit? No way.
Yeah.
So, if nobody saw, by the way, this is the Tattersall weeded bourbon, bottled and bond. Yummy stuff.
Right. Nice.
Well, we've been going for an hour. Mm-hmm. I was kind of hoping to get a few more people in here to do some giveaways on, but maybe we'll save them for another day.
Yeah, do it at the end of me and Bobby.
Maybe I will. Yeah, maybe I will, because there's usually
do one before the bottle will do one at the end.
15 to 20 people in there.
Yeah,
and I can do them randomly throughout the competition while somebody's going through their samples too. So
Yeah, because I mean, Bobby's gonna want to be quiet. He's gonna want to focus.
Yeah.
And I'm not shutting the fuck up.
no, I didn't.
No, I'm gonna be.
Did you have it when you came up in February, Tony?
Pretty and damn good.
It sounds like this green label Tattersall.
I think it was the barrel proof Tattersall that we had when we were up there with you. What
Okay. It was out at Callahan's with Travis. Okay, I got you.
Oh, okay.
Then I couldn't help you out there. Spencer, I know, bud. I'm sorry, but I mean, if you want samples, hit me up. We'll get you. It's not a thing.
Just send the man a message. So
for the most part, the people in here right now isn't necessarily the target audience. You guys got my audience already, anyways. I know you are.
Send him a message and just say, "Give me samples now."
Yeah, I mean,
he'll give them to you.
I might forget to drop it off in the mail.
No, for like 3 to 5 months at a time.
Playing with you, just playing with you.
Love you, Spencer. Dude, I gotta say, I really, really like that cut spike 5-year-old with the French stave finish. French oak stave finish. I like that bottle. I really do. It's what I remember about the portfolio that I liked, just with a little bit of a unique twinge on the back end, and I'm like, it's phenomenal. Would I buy it again for $100? No. But am I super thrilled that I have it? Yes.
That's that new cut spike that you got?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So this is their 16th anniversary or something like that. They put out a 5-year aged. They didn't specify how long. I don't think that it spent with the French oak staves, but I mean, you can definitely tell it imparted something different. The tannins hit different. The way that the back end rides is a little different. It's still a bit more on that kind of plain side. It's still a bit more of a bourbon-esque style of American single malt, which of course that's typically where I'm at when I'm in the single malt category.
Yep.
But dude, it's good. I'll get you a sample of it. I really do want you to try it. I think it's pretty tasty.
I'm sending you your blind sample showdown is in the normal little box, right? That's going to be inside of another box with some other samples and some other shit I got to send you.
I finally get to try Detling. Huh? I can't.
You do, and
I haven't had the money to buy it lately.
Am I getting to you first, or somebody else got you one coming?
No. Your sample will be probably the only chance. Here's the thing, man. I've sent a lot of sample boxes out recently. Nobody except for Joe has returned a favor.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's just a little weird.
No. Okay. So, but to be fair, for me, I met up with Martin and all those other guys at Drifter at the Valparaiso thing, and I felt like a jackass because I didn't bring a bunch of samples except for Caesar, who reached out to me ahead of time and said, "Hey, I'd like to try Andalusia. Bring me some Andalusia, please."
And now you got him hooked.
So we get there, everybody shows up to the thing, and it's, "Here, Germ, this is for you. This is for you." And everybody's handing out little packages of samples for everyone. I'm like, fuck, I feel like a jackass. But but so this next one, I'm not gonna go empty-handed. Yeah. Everybody's getting blind samples for the next one. They ain't gonna know what they got.
You get blind. So what you need to do is give somebody a blind sample, but give somebody else the card for what it is, and just swap those.
That would be hilarious. Hey, this is the samples that Caesar got. Don't tell him. This is that would be funny because then they can go talk about them together.
The Guac Ice chat will be going nuts. Oh man! All right, man. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna have to peel out of here. The bathroom is calling my name. I'm gonna
peel it out too.
I'm probably gonna be on IG later on, so I might see you over there. But
yeah, you will.
Good to hang out with everybody. And Jeremy, congratulations on hitting 100 subs here on YouTube, buddy. Just keep posting, keep having fun. You'll get there. You'll hit that 500 pretty soon.
Yeah, we'll see. So, I'm happy.
All right. I'm out.
Everybody in the chat, thank you. And thank you all for subbing. And we will see you in a week on Wednesday at 7. Later, everybody.